Do you know, Mr. Director, that it is a crime to lie to Congress? Do you know that?
I do not lie to Congress.
I didn't ask you that.
And you're insinuating that I am because
I asked you whether you know.
You want to correct your time in this session where you got steamrolled by the facts so you can have a Twitter narrative so you can go raise more money and spend more money on $7,000 bar tabs.
Just let the record show,
I'm not going to give
Mr.
it
Chairman.
to you.
The director of the FBI apparently does not want to answer the question about whether or not it's a crime to lie to Congress, and I find that extremely troubling.
I find it troubling that you lie to the American people every day.
You are a disgrace, Mr. Director.
Not nearly as big.
What you just watched was not a partisan argument. It was a constitutional stress test. And Kash Patel, the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, just failed it. But before we get to that question, Van Hollen asked something that nobody has been talking about. Just before the United States went to war with Iran, a group of FBI agents was fired. According to reporting, these agents had expertise in Iran. They were reportedly fired for their role in the classified documents investigations of Donald Trump. Van Hollen asked Patel directly, did the fired group include people with Iran counter-espionage experience? Patel's answer, I don't have the list in front of me. The director of the FBI fired a group of agents right before a war with Iran and does not know whether those agents had Iran expertise. That is not a personnel decision. That is a national security question. Watch what came next.
Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Murkowski. Senator Van Hollen and I are going to just have a couple of wrap-up questions, and then we'll conclude the hearing, and I'll turn to Senator Van Hollen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Director Patel, I've been listening carefully to your responses to some of my colleagues, and I want to start with a question that Senator Coons asked you that relates to this article where the headline is Kash Patel's latest firings ousted agents with expertise in Iran. The article says that these individuals were fired for their role in the classified documents investigations of Donald Trump. First of all, is that true?
The article, just like all the other articles you cited, is false, and there's ongoing litigation, so I can't address it.
Okay. You did answer Senator Coons, and I understood your answer to be that the people that were fired, that none of them were part of the group that had Iran expertise. Is that your answer?
No, he asked if they were Iran experts. I said they were not.
Were the group fired? Did it include people who were Iran experts?
No.
Did it include people who were involved in counter-espionage activities with respect to Iran?
I don't have the list in front of me.
So you don't know whether or not you fired people with counter-espionage experience with respect to Iran. You don't know the answer to that question.
I terminated anyone and everyone that weaponized law enforcement.
I see. So it was related, obviously, to the classified documents case. So
that's not what I said.
Well, Director Patel, I understood you to say in response to Senator Murray that you've not redirected FBI resources toward the immigration enforcement effort.
That's not what I said.
Okay. Have you redirected resources away from your core FBI responsibilities toward the mass deportation effort?
No one at the FBI has been permanently reassigned on the immigration front, and when we pull the numbers, the FBI's overall operational field expenditures surged periodically for immigration enforcement activities, including the arrest of 2,000 people with direct ties to foreign terrorist organizations, was 2.4%.
So, okay. So the key word there, I guess, was permanently. You have not permanently reassigned. Is that what you reassigned temporarily?
Surges, yes, sir. Okay.
Notice what Patel just admitted. He said no one was permanently reassigned to immigration enforcement, but when pressed, he confirmed temporary surges. That is not a denial. That is a confirmation with a different word. And then Van Hollen pivoted to something that had been building throughout the hearing. Earlier, Patel had made a statement about margaritas in El Salvador. Van Hollen called it provably false. Patel fired back, calling Van Hollen a liar. Coming from the director of the FBI, in a congressional hearing, making provably false statements is not just embarrassing. It is a legal threshold. Because there is a federal law, 18 U.S. Code Section 1001, that makes it a crime to knowingly make false statements in any matter before Congress. Van Hollen asked the one question that cuts through everything. Watch what Patel said.
You reassigned temporarily.
Surges, yes, sir.
Have you had a chance to listen to or read about Brian Driscoll's statements about what you said to him and the reasons for his firing?
No, I have not, sir.
So let me just say this, Mr. Director. In your response to me earlier, where you had a little bit of a blow-up, you made a couple provably false statements.
So did you.
No, Mr. Director, I was reading about and asking you to respond to allegations that are made. In fact, I was giving you an opportunity to do that, and you took that opportunity. But in the process, you made these provably false statements that I know are sort of like urban legend in right-wing media about margaritas in El Salvador, which is provably false. And so coming from the mouth of an FBI director to make provably false statements in a hearing like this is extremely troubling. And it leads me to ask whether or not the other things you've been saying are false statements. And so because that's a provably false statement. You made a couple others that are provably false. And this is from the mouth of the FBI director.
The only one that made false statements is you.
My final question to you, Mr. Director, is do you know that it is a crime to lie to Congress? Do you know that? That's my last question.
I have not lied to Congress.
I didn't ask you
that.
that.
Lied to Congress is you.
Do you? I'm not testifying here, sir, and I don't lie.
Maybe the next time you run up a $7,000 bar tab, we can talk about it.
Well, see, there you go, lying again. You suggested
in the FEC report. I'll post it right now.
You suggested it was
Hang
public.
on.
It wasn't public money, as you know. That was for a 50-member staff party.
So it was a $7,000 bar tab.
Mr. Patel, I'm glad. Let me just say in closing, Mr. Chairman, two things. I'm glad that you have agreed to take the test regarding, whether you have alcohol problems. I'm glad you agreed with me to do that. You still haven't answered my final question. Do you know, Mr. Director, that it is a crime to lie to Congress? Do you know that?
I do not lie to Congress.
I didn't ask you that.
And you're insinuating that I am because
I asked you whether you know.
You want to correct your time in this session where you got steamrolled by the facts so you can have a Twitter narrative so you can go raise more money and spend more money on $7,000 bar tabs.
Just let the record
I'm not
show,
going to give
Mr.
it
Chairman.
to you.
The director of the FBI apparently does not want to answer the question about whether or not it's a crime to lie to Congress, and I find that extremely troubling.
I find it troubling that you lie to the American people every day.
You are a disgrace, Mr. Director.
Not nearly as big as
the fact
you.
that you can't answer that question, I will. That concludes my questioning, Mr. Chairman. But I'm obviously very troubled.
Question for the director of ATF, Director Sakata. I want to talk just a minute about.
Let's be precise about what just happened. Senator Van Hollen asked the director of the FBI one simple yes or no question. Do you know that it is a crime to lie to Congress? Patel said, I have not lied to Congress. That is not an answer to the question. The question was not whether he lied. The question was whether he knows it is a crime to do so. He would not say yes. Under 18 U.S. Code Section 1001, making false statements to Congress is a federal crime punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Every FBI agent in the country enforces that law every single day, and the man who leads them would not confirm that lying to Congress is a crime. Earlier in that same hearing, Patel fired Iran counter-espionage experts just before the United States went to war with Iran, and he didn't know whether those agents had Iran expertise. He confirmed FBI agents were temporarily surged to immigration enforcement after denying any reassignment. He made statements Van Hollen called provably false and responded by attacking Van Hollen. And when asked the one question that every FBI agent learns on day one, he refused to answer. Van Hollen's verdict was not emotional. It was the conclusion of someone who had just watched the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation refuse to affirm the most basic principle of his own agency. Subscribe to Dana Weston Daily, because the questions the FBI director won't answer are the most important ones of all. Drop a comment. Do you think Patel should be required to answer that question on the record? We read every single one.